honestly.
All right, hello, and welcome to Mad City Podcast, the only show on the internet that is this one. Yes, thank you for being here with me today. I just I can't tell you how much it warms my heart to know that all seven of you have taken time out of your busy days filled with all the stresses and hopes and dreams and ups and downs of regular people like yourself to put all that down and come and listen to me ramble for some indiscriminate amount of time. I appreciate it. Well, I think we're gonna take today's show to a slightly different direction, away from the last one where we spoke ad nauseum, Mike and I, about Roombas and ejaculate and whether or not that's the proper use of that word. And come ejaculate. I don't know. I'm not trying to sound technical over here. I'm not that smart. I just think that the word ejaculate sounds way more fun than come. I mean, come just sounds juvenile, yeah. But I'm not saying ejaculate because I'm trying to sound mature in my crudeness. I just like the way that ejaculate comes out of the mouth. No pun intended. Okay, maybe a little. But it's just a fun word to say. And it's just, it does seem to me to be a little, I don't want to say less offensive because that's definitely not what I'm going for. But it just paints a prettier picture. Okay, wow. The puns are just coming out right and left, and I'm not even trying to. All right, let's talk about something fun. I know. How about some politics? Oh yeah. All right. So I gotta be honest. It's been a really long time since I've taken any sort of political class or read a book about politics. In fact, I think the last political book I read was the Al Franken book, was Lies, Liars, and the Liars Who Tell Them or something. And I don't even know if that can be considered canon for my repertoire of political knowledge. Now that he's been ousted and shamed because of a picture he took where he pretended to grab a woman's breast who was sleeping. And of course, many people have understood the context behind that photograph and that they were friends and it was a joke and there was nothing malicious behind it, but because of the political climate surrounding cancel culture and the Me Too movement and things like that, it all kind of rolled together into this big shenanigan that he couldn't walk away from, or more importantly, the Democratic Party couldn't walk away from or ignore, because they're like, on the one hand, they're saying, oh, we have to oust people who do these kinds of things, and then oh no, we have to hold ourselves to the same standard, which is a far cry from what we see a lot on the other side of the aisle there. With the GOP, where they basically just do whatever they want. They they shame people for whatever reason they can come up with that morning, and then do the exact same thing later. And it's like, oh well, that was ages ago. Like I've had 4 poops since that scandal. That's old news. But anyway, yeah, it's been a long time, and I barely remember any of the ins and outs. I mean, I know like keywords. Like to know kind of if they're good or bad. I mean, like I know that a filibuster is basically a bad thing, It's basically just it's like a roadblock. It's just some sort of arbitrary block that they can put up, say like, oh, we're not going to listen to anything or do anything that you have to say. It's not important to us, and we don't care. So just cancel that shit. Um, no arguments, just no. It's sort of like going back to like a kid talking to his mom about like why he can't have another cookie after dinner. But why? Because why? Because I said so. Like, okay, no logic behind it, no reason, just because. So anyway, with that in mind, I will say that incumbents are are fun words, to use. Like an incumbent. I don't even know where the hell I was going to go with that. Okay, ignore that. Hey, future Pat, be sure to come back through this and edit out that part where I started to talk about incumbents and having no idea where I was going with that topic. Okay? All right, good. So, I'm sure we're all pretty familiar now with, January 6th events, where an angry mob souped up to start a revolution. Stormed the Capitol building in order to stop the steal and take back the government to the good old days when I guess people had pitchforks and horns and iPhones and private jets. I don't know, whatever. I'm not really sure what the whole like MAGA party really is trying to get back to. Like, when they say make America great again. Like, at which point is again? Like, I mean, obviously we're trying to reverse something, go back to quote unquote better times. So like what? Like pre-internet? Because I mean that wouldn't make sense because like they all clearly depend on the internet in order to maintain communications with even though many people have been now banned from social media, but like they a lot of them have been using social media in order to collaborate and stay consistent in their power vacuum, their echo chambers of absurdity, with QAnon, telling you stick to the plan, whatever. Honestly, I feel like QAnon was probably started by one guy in his basement who was just trolling somebody on Twitter, and it just got too far. It just went way too far, and the guy's like, wow, I can't believe I could manipulate these people so much and so easily. This is crazy. And he just got caught up in the power, and it just became this really wild and crazy thing, and who knows where QAnon guy is now. But maybe we'll never know. But so people, they want to get back to this better time. Like, okay, so not before the internet, I guess. The Bush era. I mean, they wouldn't want to go back. I mean, maybe I guess Clinton times would be. I mean, we had some internet then, but it was like dial-up. Oh, hey, I finally got to download this picture of Callista Flockhart and Harrison Ford. Oh, look, he's got an earring now. That's great. So yeah, and the their big political battles were blowjobs in the White House. Totally unacceptable in the 90s. But it was a different time, man. So yeah, I don't know what they were trying to really restore. It's like in 12-step culture, there's this being restored to sanity. Is one of the infamous 12 steps. To be restored to sanity. It's like I remember the first time looking at that, like restoration. Okay, so going back to a previous state. When the hell was I ever sane? I can't remember a time where I wasn't like a complete raving lunatic, So I'm not really sure what that means. I I think it's better to look forward, into discovery rather than recovery, personally. But yeah, I mean, I guess it just wouldn't have looked as cool on the hats. Make America Great. Period. Just mag. Hmm. I kind of like. I would. I sort of. I mean, if we're going to try to stick with that sort of silliness, gala would be cool. GALA. Give America Love Again. I think that'd be cool. Because like a gala is like a party, where everybody dresses up all fancy and has like really expensive finger food and champagne and there's probably glitter somewhere. I don't know. That'd be fun. So yeah, these people they stormed in and they wanted to make this dramatic change and then didn't really accomplish much except to show that yeah, people, specifically white people, when they're really angry, can go and trash a building, even a seemingly important one, uh, and then just walk away and go back to their hotels. And like yeah, there have been repercussions for a lot of the people that were dumb enough to film themselves live with their iPhones and whatnot, saying, "Hey, yeah, this is Pat Kempfer. I'm at the Capitol building. We're gonna take back the White House." And it's like, okay, it reminds me of those stories you hear about a guy who, you know, goes and commits a crime, I mean, like beats the hell out of somebody because they said something, about their girlfriend on Facebook, and then goes and beats him up and live streams it, and then like has a conversation online with the police and tells them stupidly like where he lives or something. I don't know. It's like, oh my god. I mean, the audacity of some people, to not even understand that, like, oh yeah, I might have to deal with some consequence from this action. Like it's not even a thought. Like they don't even think that it's going to be a big deal. Oh, I can do whatever I want because I'm me. I'm this special that I can do this and it's fine. So they go in and they create this huge ruckus, make threats, people die, and the GOP is still like, "Hey, that was forever ago, and it wasn't even those weren't our people." Oh, okay, maybe so. I mean, no, what we wanted to do was it's like, stop trying to explain away your intentions. Just say you didn't like something, you were pissed off, and shit got out of hand. I mean, there's this little word that I learned about 11 years ago called accountability. And it's an important word, because it has taught me, what it means to it, and when I move forward into any action, like I'm thinking about accountability, not responsibility so much, or consequence, because here's the thing. When I think about accountability, like as like in its fullness, I'm not thinking about how I impress people, like, or like what people are going to think of me necessarily, uh but but it gives like a greater appreciation to how my actions and attitudes do impress upon others and the world around me, and the residual effects that my actions and behaviors and attitudes will have on me later. uh it it clues me into this sort of thoughtful idea that maybe others look to me at times as you know uh, like a beacon, in some respect, as a teacher, as someone that they can go to, as a confidant, um, and and if I'm gonna hold true to those ideas, then I can't be going through life steamrolling around and and just destroying uh like the lives and the beliefs of others. As a pretty staunch atheist, I used to really go out of my way to trash people that have like deep faith in Christian God, Muslim God, but pretty much any monotheistic religion. Um, I and not to mention Wiccans and pagans. It's like it's all. I mean, to me, in my mind, I look at something like that, like, oh, well, that's stupid. Like that's my first thought. Like, like, oh, you believe in a guy in the sky? All right, well, you're dumb. Like, oh, you believe a bunch of people live in the shadows in the forest? Okay, well, here's a cookie. Now it's bedtime. Like, I mean, I get, my thought process gets reduced to like very audacious, cynical, um, like I become a dick. All right, I become a dick. So I apologize if anyone is already immediately offended by any of the things that I just said. But here's the thing about accountability again, is I can have those ideas, I can have my opinions, and I can keep them to myself. And I mean, I know that sounds funny coming from a guy who's literally at this moment recording a podcast. Um, but even if I don't keep these ideas and opinions to myself, I don't have to use my opinions and ideas as weapons against other people. I don't have to go out of my way to trash somebody else's beliefs and ideas simply because they don't align with my own. I don't have to do that. I mean, I could choose to. I could be the guy sitting at the computer in the basement trolling people on Twitter. And I'll be honest, I mean, I have trolled people online because it sometimes is hilarious. I'll make some what I think to be a completely absurd comment to something just it's totally satirical. All caps, misspellings, and then throw in like a, Trump 2020 forever, even though it's now 2021, kind of, just a ridiculous argument like, well, I don't have to wear a mask because who cares if other people need to stay safe on a cruise? I don't care. uh, and people will react to this and agree with me. And it's like, okay, who's trolling who here? Like, are the people that are agreeing with me, do they know that I'm making fun of this kind of behavior? And the people that react to it, like, negatively, they're like, oh, how could you possibly? It's like, why are you giving into this? How can you take this seriously? And then you scroll down and you look, and you see that yes, people very, very passionately and very seriously, very pointedly believe these things that they say, and they are willing to fight for this opinion and go even further. That's basically how this whole thing started with the riot at the Capitol. It was just a bunch of people online bitching about things they didn't like and amping each other up, and then they have a guy who they think has their best interests at heart, which I don't get it. And it's not because I'm a leftist or a liberal or progressive even, it's just I just have critical thought. I just have uh, an ability, an innate ability to see through people's farcical bullshit. I've known enough people that I can and cannot trust to know now who I can and cannot trust. It's really not that hard. It's just, I guess maybe you just have to kind of let yourself be open enough to begin with to be able to perceive these sort of intuitive things. But I don't know. But yeah, they get led into this crazy situation, and it's a classic case of dog catching car. Like once they got in there, they didn't know what even the hell they were doing. And it's because the leadership aspect of the situation was gone. the man said, "Oh, and I'll be there with you," but then he wasn't, and they didn't know what to do, and it just goes to show, like, these people are easily led, and there are a lot of people in the world who are easily led. I've known plenty of them. And not to say that I haven't been led by others at times too, but and usually to serve some interest of my own, um, which kind of reveals a little bit more of a conniving aspect of myself, I suppose. Like secretly manipulative in the background guy. Like, okay, yeah, I'll go along if it serves my needs. Twisting my mustache, but some people just really need a leader. They need something to believe in, and they need someone to push them and pull them in a certain direction so that they can feel a part of something and feel like their life is worthwhile. And that's what these people were lacking, and that's what they got. But then when, the time came where, like, there was like a pinnacle point, it's like, okay, now what? And nobody knew what to do. And that's why they just went back to their hotels, because they didn't know what else to do. And now the whole fabric of their realities, a lot of them, has been dissolved or just ripped apart to such a point now that, like, they're kind of lost. They're so confused. They're still like, and a lot of them are like double and tripling down. Like, well, no, it's just, we just got to be patient. It's like, can't you just admit that you went the wrong way? Like, I've been telling people in recovery this for years. That they set themselves up on a track for relapse. Like they get to the point where they're like outside of a liquor store, or they've already called, like, like their guy, to get, like, some drugs. And it's like, at any given time you can stop what you're doing and turn around, but we get it in our heads that, like, well, I've already gone this far, so I might as well. It's this idea that, like, if you're taking your plate of food from the kitchen to the table and you drop your fork, like, well, I guess I might as well just throw away the whole plate now. It's like, no, just get another fork. Just eat it with your fucking hands. What are you doing? Your mom slaved all day over a hot stove. But it's, you know, if I was driving from where I am in Mad City, Wisconsin, to that, in case anybody didn't know, Mad City comes from it's a geographical reference. I'm in Madison, Wisconsin, which is the capital city of Wisconsin, and it's where I live. It's where I'm from, and I contend that I am, to this day, the most Madison motherfucker any of you will ever meet. I stand by that. But if I were to drive from Madison to Las Vegas, okay, and I had this whole plan set out, and everyone was encouraging me, yeah, go to Vegas, man. Take all your money and go to Vegas. It's going to be a good time. You're going to have fun. There's going to be plastic boobs and blinding lights and sticky mattresses. I mean, it's good. You're going to have so much fun. And then all of a sudden I realized that I'm, like, in a swampy area, and there's alligators, and there's, like, a creepy orange dude, like, playing around in what looks kind of like a sandbox. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in Florida. I wanted to go to Vegas. This is not Vegas. I'm not just going to keep driving off that turd of the country, Florida, into the ocean, and then swim to Cuba. I'm not just going to keep, I mean, at some point you have to stop and be like, oh, okay, I've gone in the wrong direction. Perhaps I should pause, collect myself, recalibrate, get my bearings, and go another fucking direction. Or some people, they just stop and just set up shop. You're like, oh, I guess I'm just going to live here forever now. Like we're prospectors or something, going across the plains in the 1800s, like, yeah, we're going to California, we're going to get gold. And then they stop somewhere in the middle of Kansas, like coming from Virginia. And they're like, well, you know what? This has been really far, and half of us are dead now. So I think we're just gonna stay here in fucking Kansas. It's the one with the wheat, right? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know, I feel like I'm upsetting myself talking about this stuff. I just a lot of it just really kind of just goes over my head. The politicians throw words around that I think are almost built to confuse us as a people, and there's actually some factual basis to this. When the Constitution was ratified and the so-called founding fathers, I really don't like that term. We should come up with a better term for that. Um, like, why are we so endeared to them? I don't know. Um, but like you couldn't vote unless you owned property, and then like that changed even later, and then it's the whole reason we have the electoral college is basically because the people that were in charge knew that the common man, and I'm not trying to sound sexist here because that's the only people that could vote then, man, the common man didn't have enough intel to make an informed decision on who to vote for or what was really going on with politics in the country. It's like, well, no, you go back to the kiddie table because the adults are talking. That was the attitude, and it kind of still should be. But now, like we feel like, oh no, we deserve a place at the big table because we have access to all this information. But now we have too much access to information, which breeds misinformation and just flat out lies, that people will believe and buy into because it's somehow aligns with like their own personal beliefs and perspectives and opinions. So, we want to think that like our voice matters and this is important. So the people that want to be reelected and voted in will cater to those ideas, like, oh yeah, this person's listening to my thoughts and my brains, like they want what I want, and they just throw around keywords again, like I'm not smart with this stuff, but I can identify certain keywords and know if they align with my values. And when somebody says things like, wall, travel ban, mandate, freedoms, First Amendment, we hear just these phrases, these keywords, and we're, oh yeah, it triggers something. And these talking points that a lot of these people are making now, in context, they mean nothing. They're talking in circles, and I mean, if you really sit down and listen to like the way they're speaking, and if you think about it in the context of how I'm talking right now, this is totally unscripted. I'm just talking out of my ass, basically, But I'm admitting that, I'm identifying that, and I'm admitting it. So it makes sense that I could repeat myself or contradict myself because I'm not following any sort of script or ideology here. I'm just speaking my mind, But I'm just speaking for myself. That's the thing. I'm not speaking for countless others, as these senators and congressmen are. They were elected to speak for people. People elected them to speak for them, and they're supposed to represent a demographic's worth of values and points. So all they have to do is just keep catering to their audience, pandering to their audience, and they seem to be fine. But it's not fine because they're not making any sense, and fundamentally what they're saying is wrong. I mean, morally wrong and ethically wrong and just literally just wrong. It's just the absence of being true, it's not, I can't believe that things are where they are, but at the same time, I'm completely unsurprised. All right, well, I should probably start getting ready for other things with my day. I do have a job, a job, where I go and I talk to real people, unlike you people. Wow, that sounded terribly offensive. I talk to real people, not you pretend people, not you abstract people. And you people. What do you mean, you people? Well, anyway, this has been fun and informative. No, not really. I mean, okay, I chuckled a bit and I had some fun, but really not informative. I haven't said a single thing that any of you probably didn't already know. And you're going to go through the rest of your day knowing that none of this mattered. But hey, at the very least, I do really hope that you go on through the rest of your day feeling good and knowing that no matter who agrees with you or disagrees with you, that you matter to someone. And I hope that someone is you. Okay? I really do. You are all special people, and I love you. And I look forward to doing this again very, very soon. All right, everybody. Take care of yourselves and each other. Bye for now.
Yo, where the life at? Yeah, I'm needing more. Cause I've never been in a town like this, is such a bore. Yo, we need a moment, but not of silence. Something needs to happen around here cause we're losing vibe.